Hello, so it's now time for our very last roundtable of today. Same exercise. Can you introduce yourself one after another? We'll start by you, Belvis.
Hello, everybody. Here is Belvis Soler. I am the founder and editor-in-chief of Black Sides magazine. It's a magazine that inspires and educates about sustainability. So it's all about sustainable culture and lifestyle.
Thank you. Michael.
Hello, nice to meet you. So I'm Michael Trakovic from Beyond Form. So we are the first fashion tech venture studio. We work closely with IFA School. That's why today I am on the seat of Jean-Baptiste, and especially regarding the tech education, sustainability as well, and all the incubation program that they have.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tyler. I'm based in Berlin and I'm working as a creative strategist and communication specialist. I have an interest towards how we can make fashion more sustainable in marketing and the roles and responsibilities that we have in this space. Yeah, looking forward to chatting with everybody.
Hi everyone, my name is Philomène Tellaroli. I'm a fashion designer and creative director, and I worked for several years for several companies in fashion, like APC, Lanvin, and other stories, and Asphalt. And a few years ago, I realized I couldn't do my work as a designer as I used to do in a traditional way. And then I went back to school to at IFM with the Fashion Entrepreneurial Center to developing my own circular project. And then I created Selene Helios, which is circular brand. So then it's I worked with luxury hotel curtains to create unique and one-size pieces. And I also teach in school about sustainable fashion.
Thank you.
Sorry. Hi. Hi, my name is Marie-Laure Dumont. So I'm the founder of a sustainable women's brand, Facette Studio, that I launched 2.5 years ago after working for 10 years in fashion, more on the digital and e-commerce side of things. And so we make everything in France with only luxury dead stock fabrics, and I don't use any synthetic fibers. And so I offer timeless tailored pieces for the modern woman. And I try to have my collections at the fairest price possible.
Both of you are wearing one of your creations? Yes, good. So my first question is, have you noticed any changes in how people interact with brands and buy fashion products? I guess you can answer.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm going to get used to that mic thing. So, yeah, I've noticed that also from working in e-commerce for the past 10 years. And also my brand is digital only, so I only sell online except a couple pop-ups a year. That people are definitely more into buying online. It's less a friction now than it used to be. And not only are they more used to buying online, but also buying on pre-order. So they're okay with waiting a couple weeks, a couple months, especially when they buy their customers of sustainable or independent brands, because they know that making a garment takes time. There's definitely a shift, and there are more and more brands that now are working on a pre-order model, or like 50-50 on stock and pre-order, and it's really nice to see that shift in the market.
Good to hear.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So when I worked at Asphalt, that's what I noticed. Like people are really ready to wait for their products. I think before we couldn't really see that in the retail fashion, and but what I noticed also, because like my brand is not really digital. I have a website, but it's not the way I'm selling. I'm selling more in pop-up and like in real, yeah. And what I notice is like people, they question everything. They question the way we buy. They question the gender. They question. They need more an experience compared to before. Like the product count like really strongly, and today it's more like the experience that count and the story behind the brand. That's what I have noticed.
Interesting. Anyone else on this question?
Well, from my point of view, this is very nice to hear. It's more connected to sustainability, but there is also a lot of consumers that are doing everything in another way, which are in online. They are shopping live is now the trend. Like everybody's there. They are selling everything, and also I see a lot of user-generated content that the user are selling everything from the brand. So this is something that all the brands are now starting to do, and they are doing it right because the community feeling is very important at this moment. So in the Gen Z, so they want a friend to sell the brand, and the brand is focusing on that at this moment. So that's why there is a big gap between what consumer wants to do and what they are doing, because of social media and things like that.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Would you like to add something on this, or can I?
I can speak. No. Actually, I think that you're right, but it's also a matter of education. Consumers are sensible to let's say, the huge PR around like sustainability and what is around ecology and blah blah organic. But the reality is that, do they really understand that? So this education is in my opinion a bit missing. I mean, your initiatives are fantastic, and I'm sure that part of the reason why you are potentially like engaging, increasing the retention of your clients, because of this strong messaging, because of what you might do. For example, some brands are investing into charity part of their profit, to like support, blah, blah, blah. So we all know that. But I think that what really matters is actually like to understand what is to be like sustainable, to also educate and bring in fact your users, your clients into your story. And I think there's a lot of communication to be done. And yes, the education is very important, both for the designer brands and so on, because that's the best way also for them also to transmit to their audience. So to go beyond a bit the PR part, and that's why I follow you, estoy de acuerdo. That's it.
Okay, thank you. My second question is, do you think the expectations for fashion customers, especially the younger ones, are consistent with their actual consumption habits? And if not, what are the main factors with widening the gap? Because, yeah, I think we hear a lot of things about expectations, but when it comes to consumption habits, like the figures show that it's a bit different, right?
Okay, I think I could challenge a bit on this education aspect though. I think we have a lot of education, but a very big lack of understanding of what that education means. I think brands put forward a lot of what they're doing, but not really giving like tangible results and a real, what does it mean when you're giving this money somewhere? What is that doing? How is this actually benefiting something? And when you are educating your consumers, are you educating them to be customers, or are you educating them to be better shoppers for fashion? And I think that this is kind of where you have this action gap also coming through, that there's just such a lack of trust, especially with younger generations. They have grown up digital. They are able to navigate your website. They are able to Google search you. They can see every single person who works in your company and trace back everything you've done. if you're not being transparent, they know that. And trust is very quickly destroyed online. And I think this is where brands that are sustainable have got such a better longevity, because they are able to have these conversations with the customers and answer their questions. How is this made? Who is it for? How much does it cost? Why does it cost that much? Because it's a lot easier to have that. And I think that's why you're also seeing so much success online with brands that have an individual selling these products. It's a face of a brand, a person behind it. It's somebody who comes on live and they talk and they answer questions. They're engaging with their audience. They are bridging this gap of trust, of knowledge, of understanding. And these are things that we all want to incorporate into the way that we shop. But if we're not trusting the brand and we're not feeling like we understand fully what they're trying to communicate to us, then it is quite easy for us to pop into Zara or pop into Mango or wherever and get something that looks good for an affordable cost, and we know the quality, we trust what we're paying for, a lot more than taking a risk on something that's not willing to take a risk on us.
Yeah, maybe Philomene and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like trust and authenticity is like the key. Otherwise, the customers just leave, and I think they're just lost in what you have. Like so many things in everything. You can buy everything you want for nothing. You have like all the brands. They have like they're like dream. They want to make you dream, and like everything costs nothing, and you can just buy everything you want at any time and everywhere. And I think the customers just are just lost.
But it's also difficult for brands, because when I asked this question, I was thinking about a study released by the ADEME, which highlights that in France the consumers' conviction are not connected with their habits. So it can be very hard for brands to really understand what a consumer really wants. If, for instance, you just do a survey and you ask them, it's not sufficient. So data is key as well. Of course, it's a major tool for big brands, but it's sometimes hard for the smallest one to get proper information on their markets, and to really analyze the potential they have with social search strategy, I guess.
I think the consumer had a good intention, but the things that when they go into Instagram and they see so many things popping up, they got lost. So I think at this moment, they really want to go to a personal brand, to see this kind of brand, but then something pop up in the ad, and then it's so easy for them to change. And in the other hand, it's like a money questions, you know, so everything is so cheap. When something pop up, is because it's very cheap. And then it's so easy for them to get into another world, but the intention is good. So I don't know, we are now in the position of how can we change this gap, and how
yeah, you're absolutely right. And also it's always changing. Like for instance, on Instagram before, for instance, I was visiting the Instagram account of your brand, very sustainable brands, and then suddenly I had an advertising for Shein, and I was like, what's the point? I will never go on your account. And now it's stopped. I don't know why. Maybe they changed something in the algorithm or whatever.
Maybe your microphone, you were talking about Shein with somebody, and then it's...
Yeah, it's...
Or maybe you are visiting too much Shein, Temu, and so on.
I think also...
The country stopped, like, before it was... Never mind.
But I think now Shein, there was a new law that passed that Shein is no longer allowed to advertise in Europe, I think, or in France. So maybe that's why.
Maybe. But also, I'm curious, just or even your clients, are brands actually directly sell on Instagram, or is because for instance, I have never bought anything on Instagram directly. I need to go on the website or in the shop directly to really like buy something, and I have the feeling that only a few people are really using it like social network to directly buy. Maybe they use it to discover brands, but when it comes to payments, it's different. Yeah, maybe Tila, you can start.
Yeah, but
and then
that's my
go
feeling
through.
also. But I think that depends maybe, I don't know, on the generation and your habits. Personally, I never buy online. I don't like that. I need to see in real how it looks. But I think so many people buy online, and maybe when it's cheaper as well. And I think they need to know you and before they buy online, unless it's like particularly cheap price. I mean, I heard that you need to see something 7 times before you buy it.
I think we underestimate digital marketing. There is a reason that our social media platforms are dying, because digital marketing has taken over. Businesses now have built their longevity on digital marketing. If they are not seeing the same returns on their digital sales, they are unable to pay their employees and unable to continue the following months. They have been so wrapped up into their whole income stream coming through digital marketing. And while we might not be purchasing online, online purchasing is higher than it's ever been. So we are still influenced by it, and when something pops up to you, it doesn't even need you to be registering a Shein account. You just have to fall within the demographic of what they're looking for. They can be wanting to have somebody who engages with independent brands because you're looking for unique pieces. You could be fitting the demographic of a female based in a main city. Like, there are so many things that are coming towards you to grab your attention that you probably don't even realize the 7th time that you've seen something, because when you scroll through your social media, 90% of what you see is not what you follow. And that's how these businesses survive. And it's why we are seeing what we are on social media at the moment, which is such a decline of user engagement and user reach. It's I feel like digital marketing has become a bit of a parasite on social media, and they've actually destroyed the environment without allowing it to regenerate itself. They've completely overtaken all the users in terms of how they market it, that you are not having people buying as often as they used to, and that's affecting the bottom line, and that's pushing the marketing to spend more money online and push more advertising and push more, and that's just pulling away what you're going there for, which is independent brands, to see your friends, to look at dogs, whatever you want to do. And this is what the problem is. This really toxic cycle is being driven by this digital marketing.
Sure. For instance, do you use InstaShop for your brand?
So I don't use Instagram Shop because I think it's only available in certain countries, and I don't think it's available in France. It is in the US, but I do use Instagram and paid social and everything. Basically, most of the customers that actually purchase on mobile and not on desktop, so not on their laptop and computer, but actually on their mobile. So I guess that's the closest thing to Instagram Shop. And I do use it, but of course I have the smallest budgets possible. And cost of acquisition has grown up over the years. So now it's not really sustainable, especially when you're a smaller brand, and depending also on your average order value, to just rely on paid marketing. But then in digital, there's also just the organic content. So like, if you just have one TikTok, which has not happened to me yet because I'm not really good at TikTok, but I need to focus on that. But if you have one organic post on TikTok that just, I don't know how to say it, but that has like millions of views, then you're pretty much set, at least for a while. So, and that's not even paid, right? That's just organic. So, yeah. There's a lot to do, and I guess smaller independent brands need to work on that, because now it's just the bigger brands that actually put budget in it and teams on it. They have huge teams just creating content and pushing content on TikTok, but yeah, there's definitely a lot to do there.
I have heard that consumers are in TikTok, they discover brands there, and then they go to Instagram to see the full catalog, and then they go to the website. That's normally at this moment the.
Yeah, and there are also the other like gaming networks, like other platforms that are still not so well explored by fashion brands, but it's coming. Fortnite, Roblox, those platforms. And it's huge. It's a very huge thing. So my third question is, what strategies and new tools can enable brands and designers to live up to their expectations in the face of information overload and given the speed with which new trends are promoted by social media? Because it's true that the rhythm is so fast, so quick, and it's like almost impossible for a brand to really anticipate on that. And so yes, Tila, again.
Take it. I think it's important to understand for something to be overloaded, that means that it's more than somebody is capable of handling. So it's quite an uncomfortable thing on social media now for people to be overloaded with information. And to understand that social media trends, they are not only promoted on social media, but they are born there, they're nurtured there, and they die there. And it's really, it's important for brands and designers to understand what do they want from this environment. What is success for you, and what does that success look like? If it's just creating a higher amount of sales and more money, that's okay. You just have to know what that success looks like for you. If it's getting more followers, getting more people, you have to define a strategy. And I would say just hire a strategist. But honestly, you have to know what you're looking for because, as I mentioned, digital marketing has really taken over these spaces, and you need to have an awareness of you're contributing towards this noise. And if you're feeling like you're unable to meet your customer, you're fighting a bunch of other different people who are having the exact same thing. So you need to do a bit of a land survey. I mean, treating social media and these spaces like an actual ecosystem, understanding that the toxicity is running through it, and thinking like, how do we develop a homeostasis for our brand to survive here, but as well as our customers to survive here, because the customers just keep retreating. They are running from posts to stories to DMs, and now the brands are just following them, but that's not what they want. So you have to really think as a brand, how do I survive these social media trends? What do I jump on? What do I jump off? And where do I meet my customer that they want to meet me? And this is why I will always say sustainable brands are at the forefront of knowing what to do, because they have this direct engagement with their customers. They have a real understanding of what they're doing and why they're doing it. And I think if these were the only brands on social medias, we'd have a much better ecosystem being maintained, because you are not hiring 400 different people to promote 600 different A/B testing marketing ads, and that's great. That's kind of what digital spaces were for. And I think that is the strategy, defining what's healthy for you and defining what's healthy for your customer, and finding what tools aid that, whether it's AI tools, whether it's craft tools, as they spoke about in the panel before. There's so many different options available, and you get to decide.
Also, there are brands with tons of followers that are not selling so well, and other ones with only a little community, but they sell. So it's also the way you communicate on your products. Yeah, Belvis, and then Philomène, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I think the broadcasting channel is working perfectly in that direction, in the way that you have to create your intimate channel inside your Instagram, and then you explain the transparency, the way you are doing that, and that's something. It's like to create a pop-up event, but online, which is something that everybody can join from home. And this is something, is another way of creating or increasing your community. And also, it's like, it's not only online, it's also offline. So now at this moment, you know, after COVID, everybody was selling a lot in social media, but lately it's like social media is a little bit very difficult for small brands. So the people are going back to pop-up events. So it's trying to make community with other brands with the same DNA, and then you bring community together and you put the community, it's your community also. So it's a way of sharing communities and giving it the chance to grow up.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah, that's what I do with pop-ups, and it's really nice to organize pop-ups with brands that are also aligned with your values and just create this in real life ecosystem, because also people want connection and stories. So yeah, there's definitely digital, but we can't forget. Also, there's so much noise. We can't forget the IRL experience, in real life experience. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I think you have like two different kind of customer, and sometimes they are the same. It's just that they don't buy the same thing. I mean, they need the digital and they need the real life as well. As I said in the beginning, when I think you have this customer that is looking for the authenticity and yeah, for me, you just have to stay true to yourself and to your brand, and that really depends on which brand you are working for, and the experience is not the same. Mm.
Okay, so my next question is maybe for you, Michael, actually. In your opinion, and also Belvis, what pitfalls should professional buyers and ordinary fashion customers avoid in order to meet their objectives in terms of style and budget goals, like without engaging in irresponsible consumption? Because the studies, they highlight, like for instance, the EFM study released each year, that the customer, their first motivation is always style. And at the same time, I guess this is driving them to follow the fashion rhythm at some point, and maybe this is contradictory with their ambition to be sustainable consumers.
Thank you, Belvis.
Yes, please, Michael, go on. No, because also IFA has actually
you waited for. Okay, sorry.
You know, IFA has also led this study among their students, and they get
the from the education part. I mean, from the IFA side, of course, the goal is to promote what sustainability is in the way of communication, in the way of designing, and somehow that's that's of course part of the education part that I was mentioning before, and that should be after that transmitted to the audience. So education is of course crucial into that, and how IFA right now is like promoting this part, but not only on the sustainable part, but also on the professionalism part. I think is key, because the theory is one thing, academic is one thing, but real case practices are actually like needed. And I think that that's the bridge that IFA is, in my opinion, not because I work with them, but of course what I see also from others are doing. Yes, it's quite, I think, in advance and should be taken as an example.
yes.
It's very difficult. It's completely difficult because there is a lot of greenwashing over there. So it's very difficult to really see where it is, because even me, I have a media now 10 years, and sometimes somebody is lying to me, and I'm not the police. I cannot knock on every door, you know. So, but I really think there is something that we should focus in: authenticity, but also identity. So to really connect with your consumer in a very creative way. I don't know if you have seen the new campaign of Paloma Wool. Yeah. So she did it perfectly. You don't have to, it's like all her audience is completely connected what she is telling with one image. And this is, I think, the only way you can connect with your audience. And also, storytelling, a lot of behind the scenes, you know, trying to keep your customer following you, giving them a lot of contents. That's the problem, no? That you have to be creating contents every day, every hour. If not, the algorithm is not showing you. And this is something the sustainable brands, they don't want to do, because they want to do things in a slow way, you know? So it's very, very challenging.
Yeah, but if, like, for instance, I'm a professional fashion buyer, I'm looking for style that are entering my budget, because, you know. But at the same time, I also want to, like, engage in a more sustainable fashion industry. Like, what are my possibilities right now?
Buy less. And
as a professional buyer?
And buy quality, you know, it's like follow the right brand and wait until you have the money. That's what I did when I was a child. I was waiting until I could buy that skirt that I loved.
Yeah, I mean, for me and you, as like everybody as the final consumers, okay, but for the professional buyers, the one, like, you know what I mean? When you have objectives at the end and you have to sell more, how can you do it?
Community.
Community.
But real community, you know, it's a small community, also a higher price is the only way. I don't think there is an unpatient.
I agree with you. I think awareness of your community is so important for a buyer, because that's who you're purchasing for. But honestly, I think regulation, just start putting some heavy taxes on overconsumption, which is overbuying, and start putting bigger regulations on importing, and start having a bit more of a corporate responsibility towards these things, instead of putting the responsibility on the consumer at the end of the season when you put everything on sale for 70% off. You know, I think that's like how many buyers can have a bit of a escape from that responsibility, knowing that there's end of season, knowing that if your things don't sell, you take your label off and ship it off somewhere else. I think it comes down to regulations and comes to rules. And as much as I think connecting with the community is a huge, huge part of it, you don't make fashion for the algorithm, and you make fashion for the community. And I think if I am following a brand that I really like, I get their reels or their social posts every single time I open my phone, because that's what I want to see, and my computer phone knows that. I don't think that the brands who are just constantly always wanting to be top of your feed are actually succeeding in that. And that's why they're always churning out content, because if it was working, they wouldn't have to post so much. That's just my opinion. And I think that can inform a buyer how people react to what you're putting out there. Exactly, understanding your community, engaging with them one-on-one, and you probably have much more insight into if you were designing, because you interact directly with the people who are buying.
Oh my God, I can't. So yes, I love what you guys said, but also if you're a professional buyer, I'm sure there are lots of slow brands, sustainable brands that be happy to be retail in your store, in your concept store. Just stop buying the non-sustainable ones and just stop buying the sustainable ones. Just easy, you know? Thank you.
Yes.
You agree?
I definitely agree, yeah.
Yes.
Can I add? Yeah. I think that if I might comment what I hear, maybe, there is just a data approach that you are, if I might say, a little bit missing in this approach of sustainability. And also one key element around the hypocrisy around sustainability is that we are making business, right? You are selling your product to make money. You want your brand to be successful, right? So, because if you want to save the world, you do something else. So the goal of sustainability, I think it's important to say that it's making business responsibly. That's the key thing. Now I talk about the data-driven approach. You know that you need also to serve your client because it is a business. So you need to understand your client. It's not actually like your own subjectivity, what you receive when you are consuming, for example, or navigating on Instagram, which suggestion you get personally. To take this subjective example as a rule, because in practice, 70% of the new brands are discovered thanks to social media. And 55% of the purchase decision is based on your e-reputation. So what is your e-reputation? How many people are following you?
Working on it.
Exactly. But I mean by that, the distinction in all of that is at the end of the day data-driven. And using tech and dealing with tech companies here right now, I think is also minimized in the approach that a lot of brands are having. Because yes, you want to produce, you want to serve your clients. So yes, you need to know who you will address that. But you need also to understand that right now you have like try and forecast solution. You know that you can also personalize your approach or your communication. You know that you in the way of speaking to your users, the technologies help you to do that. NLPs, for example, technology help you to do that. You need, for example, to offer a better, unique experience. You want to sell your brand. You want to create a difference. If you just go on Shopify and do what everybody is doing, yeah, that's great. That's a standard where people know where to buy and what to do. But integrate 3D visualization, because anything that you can get in store right now is coming online. And this is this in-store experience that the digital is trying to put online. So the more you use and you adopt technology, and the sooner somehow, the best you can create the difference. And I know that it is hard, and that's the unfair space of this industry for a fashion brand, because you are not just a creator. We are not like 50 years ago where you could go on the store and people will pass and, yes, I like, okay, that's fine. But no, right now you need to be also a community manager. You need to be a financial.
Tell me about it.
Exactly. So I think that that's the interesting part, of course, on the industry and how you have to handle all of those pieces to finally, at the end of the day, not serve your cause, but serve your clients. And that's why I say I think that the approach should be, again, data-driven and less on the subjectivity aspect. Sorry for this.
No, it's fine. I do agree. At some points, only some brands, they actually use the activism as even a differentiation, and they succeed in launching like the brand based on that. I mean, we both know some baskets brands who have more or less pretended to save the planet selling basket, and it has worked very well for them. You know it. At some points, like I think it cannot work on the very long run. But some brands, as a brand, you can also integrate this activism into your discourse and use it as a differentiation. If you are not greenwashing everything, like if you do it sincerely, it could also be a competitive advantage. You know, brands like Loom, very sincere discourse, very engaged. They also sell product. They found their market with this discourse because there are many people sensitive to that. And if they succeed into combining their audience desire for such a style plus the discourse, it can also work. So you can also combine, but it's not because you're very sustainable, close to your community, doing like physical efforts to really maintain a certain kind of contact, qualitative contact with physical event and stores, that you are also missing your market. Sometimes it works.
I agree with you. I think that at the end of the day, what my message is that you need to put all the chances on your side to potentially like succeed, because it is hard. That's the reality. If I just take your example, since you navigate on Instagram and you've got like advertisement from Shein, I'm kidding, and you're navigating, will you buy a product from a brand that has, and you love the product, the messaging is appealing to you, will you buy a product that has on Instagram only 10 followers?
I actually did already, but maybe I'm an exception. That was one.
But you got my point.
But it was one of my friend's products, so it's fine.
No, but I see what you mean, but I think we are not talking maybe the same thing. I think you have like different kind of brand, different kind of level as well. You have like small brands that are working really well. When I say small brand with like a few followers, but that are selling really well, and that's survive. It's not survive, but that they do like financial. I think that just depends on who are your customer, and for me, you just need to be authentic and stay true to yourself and talk to your customer. I mean, if your customer is on Instagram or TikTok or just digital, you need to sell on digital and to be really strong on that. But if your customer is just buying in a real shop, you need to be there. And I think you just need to know who is your customer. And I wanted to react as well on what you said before, like on like sustainable brand. That and I was just thinking on when I worked for Asphalt, and I mean Asphalt, they are like this like. Discourse like to save the planet, and I mean they're really fighting for that really strongly. And I was inside, so then I know it's true. And they are selling really well. They are like growing quite big. So I think, and it's a trend as well. And even if I don't like, following trend, I think for once it's really good that it's a trend to be sustainable.
I think we say the same thing. Serve your client, know your clients, but from a data approach. That was the main messaging again.
You actually have already answered my last question, that was, can and should we educate our customers? And if so, how? So would you like to add something on that last question as a conclusion to this panel conversation? Because it's now time to finish.
Sorry.
Please.
Actually, I don't really like the term educate because it suggests a top-to-bottom messaging, like, a funnel. And I prefer the idea of having a conversation and sharing information, more horizontal as a dialogue, because it can be very patronizing to say educating people. So let's talk and have a conversation and share our knowledge.
All right, sharing. Thank you.
Yeah, for me that question was like kind of my key question about education. I think for me, I see what you mean, but I see education as well as when you're at school, and that's why I started to teach to fashion students. It's just to. I think we just need to. The transmission is like extremely important. I think you need to know. I mean, when you don't know, you can't change your habits. And sorry, I think I have a lot in my head right now. But it's funny because this morning I was at IFA school, and I gave a class about sustainability. And I talk about Rana Plaza and what happens in 2013, and because like sustainable fashion started there, and I think like so many students, they don't even know. I mean, they were like too small. They were like not even 10 years old when that happens, and they don't know today what happens. And I think we just need to teach to like. It's even better to teach to younger people, like education at home and at school, and that's something I see as well with my kids. Like at school, they start to talk about that. When I was a kid, we didn't talk about sustainability and what we need to do for the planet and the people and what is really happening in production. And so I think that education is actually the key. And you have like different way to educate. Here we talk about school, but you can educate as well with like workshops, and you have like more and more about like to repair your clothes. Yeah, that's voilà.
Yes, anyone else?
It's education and inspiration from my point of view, because I think we have here an opportunity, which is to make the people unique again. And this is what sustainable brands have. You are unique. So I think this is where we have to work, to inspire our community, to tell them, you have this bag or clothes, and nobody else have it. And I have done it like that. And this is where we can maybe make our ticket.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Conclusion? Okay, so I guess we discussed already, we covered the topic. So do you have a question? No question? Okay, it's your very last chance to ask a question now. Okay, so we are done. Thank you so much. Thank you all.